Hello.
Hello.
It has it's been a minute. How is everyone? Yeah, apologies on not uploading. I have been back in my real life job the past few weeks, and finding the time to do videos and the energy to do videos has been difficult.
Anyway, we're back and we're still in the bedroom. The only difference is now we're absolutely sweating because it's hot outside now. Well, actually, lockdown has ended, hence why Conor's gone back to work. But things are not completely back to normal, so we're still kind of hiding at home.
We do have some more videos planned for outside and doing more interesting things, but they're going to take a while for us to get everything together for it and to be able to do them. So for the time being, we are still in the bedroom. So expect not to see us in big, fancy, many layered outfits for the next while because it is hot. It is very, very hot.
Probably not for long, but let's be honest.
Yeah, this is Ireland, to be fair.
Yeah.
So today we are going to be doing another reaction video. I know, right? Quality content. So today we are going to be reacting to 40 Years of Goth Style, the global remake. It was actually a viewer suggestion, so if there's anything you guys want us to watch or any video ideas you have, be sure to drop them in the comment section below because we do read them, and sometimes, like now, we actually do them. The video is a remake of a video from a few years ago that I remember going viral. I think the channel name is Lisa Ladicure. They did a video a few years ago on 40 Years of Goth Style. It studied all the different styles over the past 40 years of Gothic fashion. But I think the main issue they had with it was the people who were in the video, I don't think they were actual Goths. They just used a bunch of models and then pulled all the costumes together. And as far as I know, this global remake, they used actual Goth people from the scene around the world to show off their different Goth styles and the eras that they represent or take their inspiration of their style from. So yeah, it's going to be a really cool video. I actually haven't seen it yet. I saw the original video years ago when it went viral. This one I have not seen yet.
I don't think I've seen it either.
I did, however, see lots of people talking about it online, and as far as I know, there was some slight gatekeepy controversy over it. So I guess we'll watch the video and find out why.
YouTubers or people we would know?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
I literally do not know.
Yeah, I don't have a clue.
As far as I know, they're just people Goths, actual Goths from around the world. So yeah, it'd be very interesting to check this out, and I am dying to know why this video pissed so many people off. So yeah, let's get into the video.
I want this jacket in my life. First of all.
So the two starting styles, Batcave and Death Rock. Batcave to me is just trad goth, the OG style. And that's what that looked like to me. I don't know. I actually don't know if Batcave is just trad goth now. It's the original style that people wore in the Batcave in the early 80s.
I guess so.
I didn't think it was his own designated subgenre.
Was this the Batcave the club? So that's us being fibbers.
I mean, I suppose because he's gonna be the Susie look, and they're probably gonna refer to that as trad goth. But to me, they've always been the same thing. Trad goth and Batcave were interchangeable for the early ones. It was the original goth style.
Well, yeah.
So that's why I thought it was trad goth. But if they label this Susie thing as trad goth, that's gonna really throw me off because pretty much the only difference in my eyes between Susie style and Batcave style is the eyeliner.
That's true.
That's literally the only difference to me.
Well, I guess there's
the
staple
eyeliner.
pieces, the eyeliner is a staple look, and it's known just for that one thing alone. And the Batcave, I guess a lot of people actually had a specific style going to the Batcave.
Yeah, it was all just...
If it's called Batcave, I mean, I don't... Why call it the Batcave?
Because it was where the fashion came from.
Yeah.
Because they hadn't created the label goth yet. When goth started to expand and they changed and there was loads of different subgenres and sub-styles, the OG style was referred to as Batcave. But I thought that just sort of evolved then to become trad goth. and they were like
I mean,
interchangeable.
yeah, I thought that too. I know, like, that's where people went and that's where it came from, but I never heard the term.
Yeah, I've never heard the style really referred to as Batcave.
Yeah,
like
no.
only very, very, very occasionally. The Death Rock look was really cool too. That's probably one of the very few gothic like subgenres of clothing that I've like never wore, like the style or anything. I always think it looks so cool. The Death Hawks, like the huge like mohawks, and then like the jackets with all the studs. Like it's really leaning way more punk than like normal gothic style. I always love it. Like I think it looks so cool, but I just can't imagine me ever wearing it. Like I think you've like edged towards that style in like bits and pieces.
Little bit, but I've never like fully went for it. No, and I think it's really cool as well. Like because most of the stuff that they wear, they've probably studded it all themselves.
Yes. Like
and
Death
like the
Rock
amount of layers that they're wearing. I mean, I always wear like a couple of layers, but it's like layers and layers and layers.
Death Rock is like DIY. Like I sat here and studded this jacket with 500 studs and 50 patches. Like you have to respect it.
I've tried. I mean, I've had jackets and put like literally like 5 studs on and 1 patch and like patched a few jeans like just a little bit, and I was like okay, and I've just given up on the project, so fair play to them.
Yeah, it takes a lot of effort. Even the hair alone.
Yeah.
Imagine the time spent
getting
a huge Death Hawk up.
Yeah, I think I'm too lazy.
Yeah, too lazy for Death Rock style.
Yes. I really want to know what they use for the eyeliner, and because it's so black, I'm like, did you just use Snazaroo?
Alright, so they're referring to the Susie style as Trad Goth. To me, they've almost always been interchangeable, like Trad Goth and Batcave. But I do see like the difference with Trad Goth is more like the Cure style.
Yeah, I think so.
And then Batcave is more like the hippie influenced, like long flowy black lace and stuff with like loads of chains. Honestly, hot take, if you put like a Trad Goth and a Batcave style person beside each other and you took off the Susie Sue eyeliner, there would be really, really minimal differences between that style in my eyes. Like apart from the fact that like Trad Goths will wear like white shirts.
Yes.
Like, so if you're telling me that the only difference is like that Trad Goths wear white shirts and long black coats and like rosary beads and Susie eyeliner, then Trad Goth is one look. Like it's literally one look.
I completely understand though, because there's some fashions that I'm into, like I'm not going to get too into it because that's not what this video is about, but you would ask me the difference, like with J fashion and stuff, you would ask me the difference between one and another, and there would be slight differences.
Yeah, and that's
that mean
so
a lot
pointless.
to us. Yeah, I completely understand it personally, just because of that experience that I've had and people not understanding it and me being like, whoa, the difference between like, I think you asked like Fairy K and what was the other one you asked? I'm not sure, I can't remember. And you were
something,
asking
and the difference was literally like a skirt.
Yes.
Yeah,
well,
and I was like, well, there's not a whole different subgenre of fashion because you changed it to
well,
pants.
there was colours, like wearing like more colour, like lots of different colours, and then whereas that's like a few base colours and like stuff like, you know, things like that. Like I can't remember what we were talking about exactly. But, like,
I do
like
remember this conversation. I still have the same opinion though, that it's dumb like that.
That's kind of like,
if there's only a minuscule difference between the two things, then they shouldn't be separate.
There's probably more difference than we can see or know.
I guess, yeah.
It's different on the interests as well, you know?
Like I think subgenres of and substyles of fashion should only be implemented when it's so far removed from the original thing that it doesn't look or correlate to it whatsoever. Like, for example, what we're about to see now, which I'm assuming is going to be like romantic or Victorian Gothic. If you put that side by side with like Trad Goth, they look like completely different fashions. So like that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Well, I just don't agree with you just because I already know from people asking the difference between some fashions that I've done, like people being like, what are the differences? And me seeing a few differences and other people don't see them or care or be like, why are they different things then? Because they are, like, it's just what it is. I personally have never been really into those fashions, like, so I don't know. Like, there could be like so many differences that we can't really see, you know, or that we know about.
I don't know, maybe I'm being incredibly pedantic, but like it just bothers me because that's how you end up with things like in J fashion when there's like 75 different substyles.
And so there should be.
And most of the differences are just like, oh, this one is red.
But they're different, and some people will have like different interests and everything that can go with the fashions and everything. Like I was saying, like they could have completely different lifestyles even. Like.
True, if it's that like different, but usually it isn't. Usually it's not. Like usually it's one small thing.
The fates are coming. They're nothing like you at all. I can hear the 100 hearts through the wall. So rise up.
So like I said in the intro, as far as I know, for this one, they basically just contacted like actual goths around the world and were like, hey, do you want to be part of it for your specific like sub-style of fashion? So I think that's really cool. And then the fact that they obviously like credit the people in the videos and stuff. That romantic goth one was really cool. I love that they didn't just throw in a bunch of like 19-year-olds as well to make it cool. Like they're showing people in the fashion of all different ages to point out people like do wear this like later in life. It's not just a teenager thing, or it's not just like a young person thing. So that was really cool. Another thing, because we're about to go into like vampire goth, I sort of use those interchangeably as well. Like I get that the step over there is that like vampire goths tend to be like heavily theatrical about it. Like they'll have fangs and stuff, and it'll be a lot more ornamental. Whereas like romantic goth is more kind of not dressed down, but like it wouldn't be as, you know, over the top.
You're just
like
taking out the vampire
as,
layers.
yeah,
I would wear like huge
overlayers,
collars and like vampire collars,
Yeah.
stuff like that, like headpieces. But I suppose I'd probably label as both, yes. So I get what you mean.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I understand why there are separate ones as well. And again, it's a different times as well. What they're saying, like.
Yeah. I
So maybe
suppose.
they came at different times and they were more like, you know, more popular at these times and stuff. Which actually makes more sense now to why the Batcave one, like why was it
Because
the
it was
Batcave?
the
Because that was the
early
time
evolution,
period, and that's
yeah.
exactly what they wore at that time period. And then in that year, this is like when the Susie look all came and everything.
True, yeah, I suppose if we're looking at it like purely as just like the evolution
Yeah.
rather than like
I
the
think that's what
set
it is.
sub-styles we have today, like
Yeah.
I agree with that point, yeah. That was really cool. That was really, really cool. She
Oh,
went all
I wish
out.
my Batwings would do that. They're just down all of a sudden. I just press a button.
Beautiful house as well. If
Yeah,
that's
I'm so
their
jealous.
house, that's so nicely decorated.
Yeah. Goals.
I've toyed with this style a few times. It's just really hard to kind of pull off as a dude, I feel.
Yeah.
Pulling off headpieces and the big collars is not easy, especially when you're like me and you have such a fat neck. This is honestly, it's one of my favorite styles. Like Bram Stoker's Dracula, like all the costume pieces and that and everything, it always reminds me of.
I think the last time I was dressed like this was Mariluna. Like, it's not often you get to really, like, dress up this fancy, I guess.
Yeah, it's not a nip down the Tesco look.
I mean,
Like-
I could do it for a video sometime. I mean, I have done vampire looks for videos and stuff, so I guess I could.
True.
But wearing the big dresses around the house is the problem, like big petticoats and stuff, so I can't get through the door.
Yeah, very, very
And then
true.
you can kind of only ever see this half of me, so usually I'll be wearing pajama bottoms.
Don't call us out like that.
I'll tell you.
We're wearing really cool pants and really goth shoes under here. You guys just can't see. Anyway, yeah, beautiful style.
Just
But
wearing Crocs.
Crocs are dope. Have you seen punk Crocs?
I haven't seen you wear Crocs.
But yes, beautiful style, but very impractical for daily life.
I was going to say that this is a style that I've never fully got into, but looking now, I'm like, we actually do own a lot of these pieces.
I suppose, yeah.
But we
with
just don't
the-
wear them all together,
with the
so
shoes
it's not
and,
cyberpunk, I
and
guess.
all the like.
You have the mask, though, and I
Yeah,
have a mask now, and we
true.
have the same demonias. So I guess we are kind of like getting a little bit into it. I actually do own the goggles as well, but like I guess I haven't fully ever dove into it, especially with the dancing and stuff. I think it's really cool, though.
I remember the first time I ever actually saw CyberGoths was
I don't think I ever have. In real life.
years and years ago. I was like a teenager and Combi Christ were playing the Academy, and it must have been around the time that the show ended and I was near the venue. I was just out with some friends. And like a sea of cybergoths came out of the Academy, marched down the street all running for like their last bus or whatever. And I literally remember like turning around to the people I was with at the time and being like, whoa, like
Real cybergoths.
But I didn't even know what it was.
Oh, you didn't know?
Like, no, I didn't know what it was. Like,
that Thomas the Tank Engine video hadn't been out.
No, like, and it was real, like, it wasn't like pre-internet times. We're not that much of dinosaurs. Yeah, it wasn't pre-internet times, but it was like kind of like major social media times and everything. The only styles that I'd been exposed to were ones that I either A, saw on TV, or B, like, I liked an artist and I like looked into the artist and I'd see it in Kerrang or whatever and like Metal Hammer and things. But yeah, well, I remember when I saw the sea of them come out, and I genuinely turned around to the people I was with and I was like, what is that? Like, I need to know what that is. That's so cool. Like, and I literally went up to a group of them and I was like, who did you just go see? And they were like, Combi Christ, man. Like,
Did you not know who they were?
no, like, I didn't know at the time. I
probably didn't know who they were then.
I think I was probably like 15 maybe. And I was like, I've never heard of them. And they were like, yeah, they're really dope. So I was like secretly like writing it down to like look it up when I went home. But it is weird that I never like dressed in that style or anything, because I love like industrial and agro tech. I've always liked it, like to look at it aesthetically.
Wait, why did I say I've never like seen anyone? Surely someone at Merrill Luna was dressed in this fashion.
I think I saw like one or two at Merrill
maybe not a
Luna,
lot,
like, but not loads, which was surprising because of the amount of like agro tech and industrial bands playing.
Too warm as well.
Yeah, too hot for that kind of car.
Yeah.
28, 29 degrees with a mask on and goggles.
I mean, they would probably do it though, because, you know, you do these things.
Yeah, you suffer for the aesthetic. You gotta suffer for your aesthetic. I'm going to open up the floor to you to speak on this one.
Yes, this is a fashion that I wear sometimes, because I wear like most of this, to be honest. Like I said, I mix everything, and I have worn full Lolita before. Again, like it's not too comfortable, and like usually I'm wearing a big petticoat, so I can't really wear it around the house. So with the lockdown, haven't really been wearing it much, but it's definitely a style that I'm really into. And we've been to like conventions and stuff where Conor has also tried out this fashion. Yes. Maybe you'll see it.
I'm just gonna shop like Angelic Pretty on me right now or something. I love that style. I just find it really interesting that they put it in this video as well, because it's never, in my mind, like never really sort of included. They're always sort of kept separate in my head. That like Gothic Lolita is always treated with Lolita events and like Lolita stuff, as opposed to like goth events.
Yeah, so if we went to a goth event and you seeing someone else there in Lolita fashion,
I think that would
you'd be like, whoa, Lynn, look, someone else is also into this fashion. But it's weird for me to say, just because like I said, I'm into everything, like every fashion, all the music types, everything alone. So for me, it's not strange, because it's all part of me and who I am as a person. The reason I like it is because of the goth. Like I was into Gothic Lolita before, so I do wear like different types of Lolita. Like I do wear sweet Lolita and stuff, so I would wear like pink dresses and stuff. But the reason I first got into Lolita was for Gothic Lolita alone.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I get that. They're classifying like the 2010s for Victorian goth, but as far as I was aware, like Victorian goth came out around the same time, like the late 90s and stuff, when Romantic and Vampire Goth was around.
Yeah, before that, I would have thought.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure it was one of the earlier styles. Maybe it's saying
maybe it's had a comeback.
Maybe it's saying this is the 2010 Victorian goth style, but that was like one of the OG styles. It came out around the same time like steampunk fashion started to come about. Like they kind of branched off from similar things and just went in like different directions.
I think it maybe just became popular at that time.
Maybe.
If you really want to think about how long that fashion's been out, like, you know, then you'd be like, what the heck, why is it even here now? Because that should be the first one, really.
Yeah,
If you were going to talk about when the fashion came out.
I'm sorry, your point completely went over my head. I did not realize. I thought you meant if we're referring to that style and like when they should have been, that you meant like it was one of the first goth styles, so it should have been in like the 80s or 90s. The point Lynn was trying to make there, that went over my head, maybe it didn't go over yours, was that if we're really classifying these by time periods, then this should have been the first one.
Why is that funny?
Because that's just how people dressed going to funerals in the 1800s. They were the OG gods.
Well, that's where it came from, but as like for the other fashion, I mean, you can't really say that for any of the other fashions, is what I was saying.
True. Well,
Because they didn't exist. They didn't exist. Well, they didn't really.
They lifted elements from other.
Yeah, they
like,
did lift
things.
elements, but this is like full blown, like
Literally
funeral
like,
wear.
Yeah, mourning clothes.
Literally
from back
mourning
then,
clothes.
Yeah. I've never seen you in like corporate goth wear.
No.
Basically what it is kind of goth office wear. Toning your style down to be like office acceptable, but like maintaining your aesthetic. But generally when I wear it, I don't wear makeup with it. If I'm wearing that style, I'm
Then you're
trying
going to work
tone
and
it down.
look-
Yeah. I just mean in general when I'm wearing like that kind of style, it's because I'm trying to tone down. I think it's cool though. Like it's a much more practical style, I suppose, if
Yeah.
you're going like daily wear.
Yeah. Well, if you had a job that allowed you, that like knew what you're into and stuff.
I just wouldn't. I wouldn't wear makeup in work anyway. One, because like I don't feel the need to. Like I don't have it in me to like feel like I have to look like this 24/7. But the
No.
other thing is that like it would just sort of annoy me. Like I couldn't imagine being in work all day with like this on my face. Imagine what I'd look like by the end of the day if this
Yeah.
is what I look like now. I just finished getting ready.
Yeah.
Imagine this after an 8-hour shift. Like,
Also unwanted attention.
well, like if
If
you're
you're
in
working in the public.
if you're in an office type environment, everyone would just sort of be like, "Oh yeah, that's Tim. He's a goth."
Yeah. Working in retail in the public, then people will just comment all day.
True.
Sometimes nice comments, but then people would want to ask you a lot of questions and you're just trying to get your work done.
I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one.
I'm just like,
Maybe I'm uneducated or something, but that I don't know what that is.
I was just distracted by the violin because I was like thinking
it?
like that's very like romantic or something to play violin. Like I'd love to dress up in a huge like romantic fancy.
Excuse me, can we get a replay on that there? That's a cello.
Cello.
That's a big violin.
I don't know my instruments.
No, I'm not hating on that in any way, shape, or form. I just mean I don't know what that's about. I like to me that's just like Wiccan like
Yeah.
fashion or like pagan fashion or
Yeah.
like Viking fashion. I don't know if I'd ever throw that anywhere near goth.
Well, a lot of our friends, like goth friends, are also into that.
True, but I don't know. Like to me, that's got its whole own dub styles, got its own whole practices and culture and stuff. I would have never correlated those two things together. And also, they called it like hippie goth, which to me is a totally different thing.
Yeah.
Like hippie goth to me is like kind of like Stevie Nicks, but in when she's dressed in all black is like hippie goth to me.
I feel like there was a lot of people dressed like that at Mariluna.
There was a lot of like Viking style stuff at Mariluna for sure.
But
Yeah.
you could buy stuff like that at Mariluna.
I feel like that's because there's this weird correlation between Viking metal and goth. And that's mainly, in my mind, because symphonic metal branched into like gothic metal. So you know the way we have like gothic metal? That bred from the same offshoot, like symphonic metal and stuff, as Viking metal. But there is such a like big crossover between that. And I feel like that's the thread that connects it.
I have a lot of friends that are into this fashion and way of living and stuff, but also like are really into the goth aesthetic and like goth music and stuff, just having friends that have similar interests. I'm like, yeah, but I completely understand what you mean.
Yeah, it's just like I don't care. I'm like, oh, I can't believe you put that in there. Gosh darn, that's not goth. No, like I just mean it's so weird because in my head it's not like something I ever correlated with that. Like it just felt to me like it was always its own separate thing. But like obviously there's going to be crossovers, there's going to be goths that are pagan, there's going to be goths that practice Wicca and stuff. And I definitely wouldn't have called it hippie goth. Maybe that's what's thrown me off the most.
You just think it's just hippie? Because it's not just hippie.
No, I don't think it's hippie at all. If I had to classify that as anything, I would classify that as like pagan gothic or like Wicca gothic style.
It would be cool for the people to talk us through some of this stuff, you know. It would be really interesting. But I know this is like completely just about fashion alone and the time period, so that's completely fair.
So dead with tissue, the karma is heaven hits you. See, my only option is devoting myself and minstrel. Think that I'm responsible, this monster will let me hear you. Think of all the problems I ponder if it is worth it. Shit will live and hurt, just the whipping and minute skirting. Do the 9 to 5, stay alive, I'm with kicking dirt. You see, I see the light at the tunnel.
The
Why are you laughing?
the absolute hatred for this style by like.
Oh, I'll tell you, by you, I was like.
That's literally the closest
I think I didn't
thing.
draw a heart on my face today.
That's literally the closest thing to my everyday style. So it'd be a bit weird for me to turn around and say I hate it. But no, the absolute hatred and utter disdain for that term and style by the goth community for the longest time.
Yeah.
Oh, like when New Goth came about, the goths were not happy. Like they really hated it. They felt like they didn't
worked hard.
Yeah, and they were like, this isn't goth.
Yeah.
And they don't deserve to use the term goth just because they wear all black. The edgy, like elitist, gatekeepy goths hated this style because to them, this was like the Tumblr kid. Like this was their new mall goth to fight against. It's definitely still a thing to like, there's definitely hundreds of people in their basement somewhere ranting about this. But I mean, it's not as widespread. And like, obviously I'm going to stand up for it because like I said, if you had to like narrow down my style to one singular like sub-style, the closest I suppose I would be New Goth. And I love that style and I love that aesthetic. And I do think it is a natural evolution from like the OG Goth aesthetic. Like the name of this video, it's been 40 years, you know, things are going to change. But oh my God, like the fact that this even made it into this video, I'm just so thankful for because it says a lot about the level of acceptance that has come. Again, I'm not saying that people who dress in New Goth fashion now don't still get hate from goth elitists or anything, but I mean back then it was just like a no-go to post anything like that. I'm glad it made it into this video, and like I said, it is the closest thing to how I dress on a daily basis. I honestly think it's very close to your like style. I think that would be your most common denominator style as well.
Yeah, it's most comfortable stuff I own for sure. Basically, I asked some people what their problem is with this, and they said it's too easy for you to go and get it. It's too accessible. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, that's the problem. Like, we worked hard to DIY and to find stuff and to make things. And I think that's really what like makes it like the goth fashion and everything is like the DIY and finding things and making things and stuff, which I still do. Like this top I'm wearing right now, like this is a pair of my tights, for example. I do a mix of everything. And you don't always have to like make stuff for it to be goth or whatever, but that was the main problem. They were like, it's too easy to find. If it's easy to find, I'm not going to be mad. I'm actually happy. I struggled for years not having anything to wear, so it's great to have, especially where we are right now. We don't really have many like alternative stores and stuff, so to be able to even like buy from across the sea and stuff like in the UK, that's amazing. So to have brands that we can actually just look at and be like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna wear this dress, it's cool.
Yeah, sorry elitists that we live in the year of our Lord 2021 and fashion brands exist and we can order stuff online. Got mad back in my day vibes to me.
But I'm saying,
Oh yeah, that was definitely what pissed off all the elitist gatekeepy goths. We don't DIY enough. They DIY too much. Like, I mean, what do you want? What do you want here? When this video came out, I remember seeing like a ton of complaints online about people being like, this isn't goth or whatever and blah, blah, blah. And I was just kind of like, I glossed over it. Because, you know, I'm bored. But I didn't know exactly what they were talking about. Now that I've seen it, I understand where that came from. Well, not understand. I see where that came from. Because I suppose if you were to think of like goth, like just goth, you wouldn't attribute that.
Would they put that more on like just an alternative?
Yeah,
category?
like general alt fashion, I suppose.
Yeah.
But as I've said before, like I think it becomes something new when it has evolved so much that it no longer resembles the original thing. I still don't think that's that far removed. Now, obviously, if you were to put those people beside someone in like Batcave or like trad goth fashion, it would be different. But I don't think it would be like alarmingly different.
I kind of feel like the second last one would be kind of new goth in a way, because you would dress like that as well, like chains and the accessories and everything. I don't know why they call it grunge.
The first person, if you were to put them in a scenario with a bunch of other like goths, they wouldn't look that weird, especially not if you were to put them side by side with like death rock. Also,
like if you think about it, if you just look at it in a way, it's like, okay, well the first one had like a studded leather jacket, and the second last one also had a studded leather jacket.
Yeah,
so they're not very different.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like I suppose sort of my point with this in general is that it is still part of the goth subculture because it hasn't evolved enough yet to become its own thing. We haven't gotten anything yet. We haven't progressed far enough yet in alternative subcultures. Like emo was the last thing in my mind. In the alternative subculture scenes in the 80s, we had goth and metal, and they were the two big like boom subcultures that like came about, and punk obviously. And then in the 90s we had grunge, and in the 2000s we got emo. And like emo was so far removed from everything else that it was its own thing. Like, an emo is its own like subculture with its own like different sort of interests and music and things. Since then, we've only really had like sub-style bursts. We've only really had like small differentiations or variations of styles that have branched off onto their own. We haven't had like a new big thing yet. There is no new big label. Now, obviously, there are e-boy and e-girl.
Yes.
That exists. I know that. E-boy and e-girl styles, which I suppose would be what most like elitists would lump those last two people into. E-boy and e-girl is an emo offshoot.
Yes.
Definitely in my head.
With the music and stuff as well.
Yeah.
A lot of e-boys and e-girls would listen to like emo music. So.
Yeah, like MCR or even the likes of like Little Peep and stuff, which I still do classify as emo. It's just a different offshoot of emo. So in my mind, e-boy and e-girl is still an emo sub-style. It's still an emo like subculture.
Emo people, I would be quite angry about that.
Screw them.
It depends really on the person. Like for me, I'm like, okay, cool. I think it's really cool. I really like the fashion and I like what they're doing with it and everything. I know a lot of people are angry about it. So I don't mind, you know, saying that some emos are evolving into e-girls and e-boys and stuff like that.
I also just don't feel like... I've never really ran into an emo gatekeeper, to be fair. I don't feel like there is as massive an army of elitist gatekeepers for emo as there is for goth.
I've just seen it on TikTok. So... I've seen people make videos that are angry with the e-boys and the e-girls.
Why do you care? Like, why do you care? Why do you care?
That's the thing, I don't care.
Yeah.
Everyone can do what they want.
Like, yeah, why do you give
a shit? Anybody, like, anyway, then...
It's not a big deal. Like, imagine being pissed that someone turns around and calls e-boys emo. And you'd be like, no, don't you disrespect my emo subculture like that. But anyway, mad tangent. Let me pull it back in here. We haven't had a new movement that has yet been so different that it is its own solo movement. Because like I said, e-boy and e-girl, in my mind, that style and the music they listen to is an offshoot of emo.
It's still a new thing though.
Yeah, it's still a new thing, much in the same way that like Victorian goth was a new thing in the 90s, but it's still a sub-style of goth. Until there is a new movement that's so far removed that it's its own thing. These last two people definitely fall under the umbrella of goth, especially with the hardcore resemblance to punk. Like, they had a lot of punk elements to them.
Yeah.
And goth is an offshoot of punk.
Yes,
So
that's what I was gonna say. It all really goes down to like if they're like, oh, you know, identify as a goth, it's like, okay, well, that's about the music. So what music do you listen to? But this is alone just on fashion, so
all in all, if that was what the whole outrage I saw online about this video was, then people need to get a life. Honestly, to label those people as goth is not as big an offense as people make out to be. But overall, like, yeah, maybe that gothic grunge, like that style, maybe it is so far removed that it should be its own thing, but I just don't think we're at that point yet. Like, it will be interesting to see when a new subculture does pop up that's like its own whole new thing, and then maybe those things will be absorbed into that and like sort of taken out of the goth label or whatever, possibly. But at the end of the day, like, I don't really care. I think it looks cool. I think it is gothic. Definitely there are elements to it that are gothic, especially the DIY aesthetic and stuff. So elitism anyway. So what did you think of the video as a whole?
I definitely think I actually preferred the first one though.
Really?
Yeah, I think as far as I can remember, but I'm pretty sure they were more exact on stuff.
This is a much more modern take on it, and the fact that it used people who are part of the subcultures, it just had a much more realistic, raw feel to me. The first video, I suppose, was more sterile in a sense. It was real sort of like, these are the styles, and they just like dressed up like models in like this clothing and stuff. So I suppose to compare it to the original video, I just think they're totally different things, you know? So I enjoyed this more than the first video, to be honest, than the original. I think they did a great job. I think the people they picked were great. I think the performances were great.
I just wish they had have maybe just told us a little bit of how they got into the fashion.
Yeah. Or even if there was like a little pop-up text box
Yeah.
or something in the corner, tiny little blurb about the fashion
Just to
itself,
help people understand more.
would have, yeah, definitely made it better in my books.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I think just some things I don't understand, like the grunge goth, but obviously I don't know. It's my first time hearing about this, so I'm not going to comment and say what if I think it should be in there or not, because I'm uneducated on it. I'm going to go get educated on it. Personally, I've never heard about it or seen it, but I understand, especially with the last look, I understand where the name came from and everything, so that's fair.
So if you guys really, really, really care, we will watch the first video. If you guys want. We probably should have done it the other way around, but I've seen the original and I've never seen this, so I wanted like to get like a fresh reaction to it. So if that's something you guys are interested in, let us know in the comments below and we will try to do that.
I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to give us a like. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing because it would help us out a lot. And leave a comment down below. Let us know if you know more about this fashion than we do. We would love to know. We would love to hear all about your fashion and what you're into.
Yeah, let us know in the comments below which looks you enjoyed the most or what you thought about the video. We are always in our comment section answering questions and comments whenever we can. But yeah, hopefully we will be returning to regular uploads soon. I've gotten a handle-ish on being back in my real life job and juggling stuff with Monroe and then doing these videos. So we will be spotty from time to time, but I think I'm getting like slightly more regular now. We're going to go outside again,
I want to go outside.
Remember outside? We're going to go outside again. But yeah, hopefully we will be on a more regular upload schedule again soon. But anyway, until next time, see you in your nightmares.